Welcome to Nicholas 11x12. Although I'm rather late to the party once again, I'll be taking a look at the PNY GeForce GTX 960 XLR8 OC gaming graphics card today, the 2GB model. My first detailed full review of this card actually, but there's a bright side to me being late here today, since you'll now get to see how well the GTX 960 can hold up in new game titles. I am aware prices could drop anytime with recent and upcoming GPU releases, but right now at the time of this video, this card by PNY comes in at about $210 to $230 depending on where you decide to purchase it from. Thank you so much PNY for sending me this graphics card to review. In a box, the graphics card itself, quite nice looking, a DVI to VGA adapter, the driver CD, and of course the quick installation guide. The PNY GTX 960 XLR8 OC gaming is based on NVIDIA's mid-range GM206 GPU, just like the GTX 950. This specific model PNY has sent me comes with 2GB of GDDR5 video memory, but if you want something more future-proof, there's also one with 4GB available, which costs a bit more though. Of course, a 128-bit bus width, and as the OC in the model name already suggests, PNY has done some factory overclocks on their GTX 960s, with the base clock being at 1203 MHz, the boost at 1266 MHz, and the memory 1800 MHz, 7200 effectively. The TDP is very low with just 120 watts, and that's a GPU based on the 28nm process. Supported APIs are DirectX 12, OpenGL 4.5, OpenCL 1.2, as well as Shader Model 5.0. Interface PCI Express 3.0. Aesthetically, for being a mid-range GTX 960, I gotta admit I really find the design to be appealing. It's kept somewhat aggressive yet simple. PNY's XLR8 cooling solution looks promising with a good amount of aluminum and 2 heat pipes as seen on the rear. 2 fans will take care of actively cooling the card, and on idle, silent mode will kick in where the fans won't spin at all. The shroud is out of plastic, which however doesn't bother me all that much here. As we enthusiasts and gamers wish the PCB color is black. Nice. Up to a 2-way SLI configuration is supported, and to power the card up, just a single 6-pin PCI power connector is required, that's all. As for video outputs, 2 DVI outputs, 1 DisplayPort, as well as 1 HDMI output. The PNY GTX 960 XLR8 measures in at about 21.8 centimeters in length. Installed on my test bench, I was surprised to see some cool red LEDs in the fan area, and that definitely makes one's system look a bit nicer when having a case with a side panel window. Also on idle, the fans turn off completely, therefore no noise at all from the graphics card. Now let's go ahead and run some benchmarks with it. First, as always, 1080p benchmarks, then 4K 2160p ones. The PNY GTX 960 XLR8 is a very good performing GTX 960, I gotta say. It performed much better than I expected, to be honest. Of course, the settings I ran the games at with the GTX 960 are a bit silly, since we really don't need to max everything out, but I just want to put everything into perspective. At full HD 1080p, the GTX 960 is a really good gaming graphics card when you're on a budget. The majority of game titles run just fine even at max settings, with a few exceptions such as Doom in my case, where the settings were just too high, so more than 2GB of VRAM were used. The 4GB model wouldn't have that problem there. But then again, I ran the games at the same settings I test the most expensive high-end GPUs with. At 4K 2160p, the GTX 960 really surprised me with its 2GB of video memory. The frame rates I achieved weren't very good, but that's to be expected at such high settings. At that demanding screen resolution, even high-end cards struggled with. Still, a good example for Y settings is my 4K GTA 5 test. I went for Y settings and achieved good playable frame rates at that 4K resolution, almost 60 FPS in fact. So as long as you don't crank up the settings too much, the GTX 960 also allows for 2160p 4K gaming, although it's a graphics card intended for great 1080p gaming performance. Unfortunately, I did not have the possibility to throw in some graphs of competing AMD GPUs in a similar price range. The temperatures are very low and PNY's XLR8 cooler can be considered fairly quiet in my opinion, on idle, dead silent in fact. As expected, the GTX 960 is a quite power-efficient GPU, it really doesn't consume a lot of power. You therefore wouldn't have to spend that much money on the power supply. So right now, technically, the PNY GTX 960 is a very good graphics card. The 2GB of VRAM might be a bit limiting in 2016, but as long as you don't crank up the graphics settings too much, it's all fine. The price-performance ratio, with the price being at roughly $210 currently, is pretty good, I'd say. However, we all know there are better ones available in that regard, such as AMD's RX 480. Nonetheless, I can definitely recommend the PNY GeForce GTX 960 XLR8 OC gaming graphics card. Rating this GPU now is a difficult task and I'm not sure which one it is, bronze or silver. From a technical point of view, I'm giving it my silver award. Thanks for watching, don't forget to subscribe and visit my website to sometimes see videos there earlier.